Yo guys, welcome to my first YouTube video on my brand new channel. If you're watching this video, I just want to say thank you, and that I'm not a really good speaker, so I might come off really quiet or just like really nervous because this is the first time I'm doing something like this. But regardless, hope you enjoyed the video and you learned something good about it. So I went from using a borrowed pathetic school laptop and a Wacom pen tablet to this artist setup, 4,000 Twitter followers and 15,000 Pixel followers in the space of just 2 years. I'm gonna try to break down every single part of my journey to show you how I managed this, the mistakes I made, things I learned, and that you guys who may be artists could really learn from this too. Now, like a lot of artists, I obviously really love drawing, and ever since I was a kid, it was what I spent most of my time doing every day. I used to draw comics in school notebooks, created paper card games, and participate in all sorts of creative events as I was growing up. However, at the time, I still treated art as a hobby for a number of years of my life, and only recently, a few years ago, is when I discovered that it was my #1 passion above everything else. When I turned 16, I became obsessed with drawing. I practically drew every day in class. On my hand, I used to draw on erasers in school, and I had multiple sketchbooks I used to draw in too. It got to a point where I knew there was an opportunity out there waiting for me that motivated me to switch to digital art and build up my skills for the future. So when I turned 18, that's exactly what I did. So I wanted to become a digital artist. I didn't know how anything worked, obviously, but I was eager to start learning. Back then, I watched a lot of Hololive, and there was one VTuber that I really liked watching. Her name was Ninome Inanis. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I watched a few of her art streams, and not knowing which art software was a good option for a noob like me at the time, I just decided to use her art software as to start off with because I already watched a few of her streams using it. The art software was Clip Studio Paint X. Now, Clip Studio Paint X was not free, you had to buy it yourself. And me being broke with no money, it really sucked to come to terms with. But shortly after, I realized there was a 3-month free trial at the time, so I used that, and for the next 3 months I just drew every single day for like 5 to 8 hours. And I know that might sound crazy at first, but the reality of it was at the time I wasn't the most healthy kid out there. I've had IBS since 2014, and because of that I rarely ever went to school, especially during the last 2 years of secondary school. During my final year of secondary school, I was out of school for 4 months, and because of this, I was basically stuck at home all day with nothing to do but my laptop on my lap and my Wacom to use. Since I was getting classwork and homework to do via Microsoft Teams, I rarely went out, couldn't see my friends anymore, and I was always rooted to my bed. All I had was literally just drawing art and listening to music. It was my way of coping at the time. Now obviously my mom didn't like this behavior from me, and she would always try encouraging me to go to school, but I was a stubborn kid and liked the idea of just working on my school stuff at home every day. After all I told myself I was going to be a digital artist one day, and school wasn't teaching me how to do that. Here's some of the first things I ever drew as a beginner. And yeah, I know they're absolutely horrific, but we all had to start somewhere. After a few months passed by, I had already pretty much grasped how Clip Studio worked by now. I'm telling you guys now, if you're just starting out, don't watch any long video tutorials on how to use Clip Studio. You only need to know the basics and you'll be good. Once you understand the basics thoroughly, let's say after 2 to 3 months of use, then you can go watch more tutorials on YouTube on like how to shade, how to line out better, etc. Because at this point you only be improving what you already know, and you'd be more open to learning new techniques since the app isn't so foreign to you anymore. Sorry I'm rambling, but another thing that helps you with art in general is being part of like little communities here and there on like Discord and stuff like that. Communities that have art channels especially. Don't join big huge servers with thousands of people. I mean you could, but that's not what I did. I joined a small Discord server at the time. It was very low key, compared to what it is now. It's massive with thousands of members, but back in 2022 it wasn't. It's allowed me to share art and build motivation and confidence within those groups of people, and I learned a lot about that experience. Now I'm gonna talk about the mistake I made being a beginner artist. As a beginner, you always wanna become like really good really quickly. Like, a lot of people have this idea in their head that I've got the capabilities to become good in this amount of time, say like 6 months time, or like 3 months time, or like just in a short period of time. People want to be really good at art, and it doesn't really work that way. You can be like skilled at drawing. For example, you might understand anatomy and like how to draw like faces and things, but digital art is not just about that. Obviously, there's so much things that goes into it. There's so many like different processes and techniques that you have to really understand to be really good at it. So the mistake I made as a beginner was I was always like comparing myself to really good artists. Like, I'm talking about artists that are like way higher than me in terms of like the skill gap. Like, they would create like the most high quality art, and as a beginner drawing what I previously showed you, I thought, yeah, I'm gonna be like them like one day. And I was using their art to kind of like use as like a concept. I was using their art to like kind of draw in their style in a sense, and it didn't really work. Like, I found myself a lot of times like the art I would create would never look the same as the art that they would create. Like, it wouldn't even come close, and I was confused. I was like, how is this possible? Like, I backed myself, and in the end it didn't really work out for me. So one mistake that you should not do as a beginner is just stay at like your level, basically, only for like a short period of time. Because what I'm trying to say is, you can't really be like those really good artists if you've only just started out like for a few months. Those artists have been drawing for like years. They've been in the game for way longer than you have. They've learned so much. It didn't take them like a few months to get as good as they are now. Like, it took a long time for them. It's like if someone told me to what's a good player, like dribble like Kylian Mbappe, the footballer. If someone told me to dribble like him, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can dribble like Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe goes through a lot of training. He eats a lot of like nutritious foods, different foods that a lot of people don't even have access to. His physique is much more bulky than just like the average footballer, like, and he's been in the game for some time now. So just as it is for Mbappe, it's the same for these really high tier artists. Just like Mbappe goes through serious training, those artists also go through some serious processes that we don't even know about. So when I attempt to dribble like Mbappe, I end up falling over and embarrassing myself, because I'm not gonna be like Mbappe in 3 to 4 months. It's just not gonna happen. So when I realized that, that's when I started to compare myself to artists that were like lower than Kylian Mbappe. I started comparing myself to people that I could relate with in terms of art style, the processes they were doing, and that really helped me to like really push on. and improving my artwork like drastically, because I was learning so much just by doing what I was already comfortable with, which might sound like a surprise, but it's the truth. Like, I was just doing the same processes, and eventually, like, I would stumble across a new type of technique by myself, just by drawing all the time and just by relating to other artists around my level. So yeah, that's basically it. My advice to that is just get on Pixiv or whatever arts platform, DeviantArt, Pinterest, whatever. Look for artists that are like at your level in terms of like art style and the amount of processes they use, and just kind of like do what they do. In a sense, do what they do until you're better than them. And when you're better than them, you can start looking for artists that were previously better than the ones you were looking at, and compare yourself to those artists, and aim to be better than them, instead of just starting out trying to be better than an artist that's way ahead of you, and you just end up failing. So yeah. Now I want to move into the next part of what I want to talk about, which is how I actually started earning money from my artwork and things like that. So at the time, I was actually not doing paid commissions. I was receiving commissions from people, and I was doing them for free, because I thought that my art wasn't good enough to charge people money for. So when people would ask me if I could draw their character, I'd be like, sure. And I wouldn't even price it, which is it's horrible, because like, even if your art is not at like a respectable level, you should never do art for free. You should always at least charge some sort of amount, even if it's terribly low, like £5 or something like that. You should still charge, because you're working for someone else for nothing. If you're not charging for your art, you're basically just doing free labor, and that's terrible. But I didn't realize that at the time, because I was still thinking in my head, my art needs to be at a certain level before I start charging people for it. So I wasn't even getting money from commissions. I was just doing them for free. But this was still good for me, because I was still drawing, I was still posting my art, I was still sharing my art on the Discord server. And then I came across this person, this guy that was part of the Discord community, and it was actually a really weird way how we met, because I believe he met through my brother, because my brother was also in the Discord server, and he was basically looking for an artist to like help him out with like a game that he was creating. And my brother told me about this guy, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll show him some of my artworks. And I showed him some of my artworks, and at this time I only showed him my best ones, because that's what you have to do. And my best ones were not too bad. Like, I'll put them up on the screen right now. They were okay. They weren't great, but they were still okay. So I showed him those, and he was really glad to see it. And then he told me about working for like him on this game, and I was super excited. I was like, yeah, sure, like this is a crazy opportunity. Like, I'm gonna be working on a game. And then he told me how like the pricing would work, and that we'll negotiate and stuff like that. And I didn't even like research any types of like anything to do with like pricing. I didn't research, because like I just dove into it thinking, yeah, this would be good. So a mistake that you guys should definitely not make is, if you're going to like start pricing for your art, make sure you do the research and look at what other people and other artists are pricing their art for, or like search for artists that are like your level and see what they're like charging for their art and priced the same, but I didn't do that. I priced really low for my art. Like, I told them I would draw like a whole like landscape background with like characters and stuff in it for like £50, which is just awful. Like, I would spend 12 hours drawing a whole background with like the characters and everything in it, and I would only be getting £50, which is just about like I think that's like around $60 or something like that. So it wasn't great, obviously. Like, it wasn't great, the rates, but you know, I learned from that mistake. I didn't make the same mistake again. Then I negotiated with them like a few months later. I told them to charge that I'd be charging more for the art, and you know, they were fine with it because they probably understood that, you know, the prices I was getting was like terrible for the amount of hours I was working for them. So yeah, we negotiated, and eventually we were able to settle on a salary. So this was when I started earning enough money to buy myself a new graphics tablet. At the time, I got a Huion Canvas 16 2021 edition, and I also got a bunch of other stuff like a new mouse, a new keyboard. And this is when I really started to push on, because from here I was earning, I think, around like 1k a month, and I was really like happy about that. So I really pushed on from there. I really just tried to improve my art, and you know, just like keep going, because that's all you can do as an artist. You just have to keep going. You just have to keep drawing every day. Like, you could draw for one day and then not draw again until like the next week, but I wasn't like that, because I knew that I had an opportunity ahead of me. So I just kept drawing every single day. Like, I was just so fixated on just getting better and improving as fast as I could, because, you know, I just wanted to, you know, become better. So that's exactly what I did. So as I was drawing art for them, for the people that hired me, I was also posting regularly on Pixiv, and the way I scaled my Pixiv at the time was kind of too difficult, and the amount of engagement they getting was a lot. So I obviously told myself that, okay, this is the type of path I'm gonna take for now, but I knew that this was certainly a path that I had to take if I wanted to like grow my Pixiv like really fast, because you just get a lot of like engagement and a lot of views on Pixiv for drawing that type of stuff. So that's what I did for basically the whole year. Like, I was just drawing like all of those types of works, and I was really bad, obviously, but I still kept on going because I knew that it would get better eventually. So that's what I did. And you know, from my goal for the year was just to get 500 Pixiv followers at the end of the year, and it was to get 100 followers on Twitter by the end of the year. And this was the year 2022. So by 2023, I wanted to have at least 500 Pixiv followers and 100 followers on Twitter. And halfway through that year, I was like at 200 followers on Pixiv, and I think around 30 something followers on Twitter. And I was feeling pretty low at that point. Like, I wasn't confident moving forwards, because I was looking at my numbers a lot, and I was thinking, I'm not like, am I really gonna make that goal? Am I really gonna get 500 Pixiv followers? Like, and here's where like the support comes in. Like, support is so important for whatever you want to do. You've always got to make sure that there's people around you who support what you're trying to do. My parents, well, at the time it was just my mom, so she obviously wasn't a fan of the type of things I was drawing, but she was still like encouraging me, that she would still, you know, support me and my brother as well, a couple of my friends too. Like, you know, they were really there to just keep pushing me on, and you guys as well, like my fans, you know, the people that saw my content. Like, I really owe it to the people that, you know, supported my works through like comments and likes and all of that. So I have to really thank you guys for that. Like, it really means a lot to me. So I just, you know, I just carried on. I picked myself up and I just kept on going, and eventually, like, I got a post that I drew and it blew up like crazy. So from that I gained like I think I gained like 200 or 300 followers from that single post, which was, like, to me that was crazy. And then I was like closing to 500 followers at the time, and this was in like September or October. I was almost at 500 followers, and I was going crazy. I was like, yo, I'm actually gonna hit this goal. And on my Twitter, I was close to like 60 followers. Like, things were going really good, but it was just because of the people that were there to tell me, you know, to keep going and just not to stop, because, you know, it's difficult when you're doing something like this that takes a lot of time in your day and a lot of hours, and it just takes a lot of energy, and, you know, it's difficult to keep going for such a long time. But when there's people around you that you look up to and you don't want to let them down, then it just pushes you to keep on going. And yeah, so shout out to Izhar. You know, you know who you are. Like, you really helped me a lot through that period of time in my life. So yeah, shout out Izhar, shout out Mom, shout out Muheez, Big Bro, and shout out to all my fans as well that really helped me through that period. And yeah, eventually I finished off the year with over 1,000 Pixiv followers. I think I had like 1,200 followers at the end of the year, and 98 followers on Twitter at the end of the year. So I was really happy with the progress that I made for my first year. You know, I was making decent money. I had 1,000 followers on Pixiv. Like, I had, you know, basically 100 followers on Twitter. Like, I was really stoked. I was happy. So I told myself, yeah, I'm gonna make even more progress next year. So I put up goals for the next year, and I told myself that I'm gonna be aiming to get 5k followers on Pixiv and at least 1,000 followers on Twitter for the next year. So those were both of my goals, and like I said, the same thing kind of happened. Like, I was drawing for like most of the year. I was going to college. I ended up dropping out of college because of my condition, and I just wasn't really focusing too much on like the schoolwork in college. So I dropped out of college. I was just at home drawing every single day, you know, waking up early, drawing for like 10 hours a day, just going crazy. And yeah, the same thing happened. Like, before I dropped out of college, I was in before I dropped out of college, for like 4 months, or 4 or 5 months, I was just like really like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I was just like very unhappy with the progress that I was making at the time. I wasn't hitting like my halfway goals for the year. My aim was 5k followers, like I said, and I was basically only at like 2,000. Like, again, it wasn't going great, and, you know, I was really just like really low at that time. But, you know, then again, the support pulled through. They pushed me, and I kept on going. And you're probably wondering how I got so good so quickly in this period. And this this was the really weird part that changed a lot for me in a good and a bad way. So I'm gonna explain what I really mean by that. So I was talking to my friend and I was asking him like, okay, what's a really good art style? Like, what are artists that are like near my level and I could compete with them? Like, I was asking him and stuff, and he would send me some arts of like really, really good artists that were like at my level at the time. So I would look at their art and I would be like, yeah, but I don't really dig it. I don't really fancy myself like drawing something like that. So then he showed me this website, and when he showed me this website, I was looking at it and I was like, whoa, like this is just like Pixiv, like there's so much like art here, like this is crazy. And then when he told me that all of that art was AI art, I was like, what? How is that possible? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, all of this, like everything that I'm seeing is AI, like a robot's done this. And it was crazy to me because I was so upset at the time. I was like, if AI can create something like this, why can't I? I was really upset and I was really angry for a period of time, just looking at how much art was there, like how much like crazy stuff was there. And obviously I was still very, very not like that knowledgeable on like this topic, because this was the first time I ever heard it. So as I was looking, I was thinking, this looks exactly like a real person's art. But quickly, like as I started looking at more and more of it, I started to slowly realize that there's actually a big difference between AI art and a human's art. Like, as much as some people don't realize it, there's a huge difference. And I could notice that like almost straight away when I started looking at more and more of it. Like, I practically was on that website every day just looking at art, just constantly studying it, analyzing it, understanding how it would get this effect, understanding why this would happen. And I didn't even know how any of it worked. I didn't even know how like it was produced. I was just looking at it and I just studying it, because there was just so much like content there. Like, it was unbelievable, like the amount of just constant content that's just flushed through that website. So I would basically just like look at the art and really try and analyze and reference it for myself to improve my skills, because there was just so much content. Like I said, like you could write what you would want to like see in a search bar, and it would just produce like thousands and thousands of images that would just be so helpful for anyone, I would say, because you're just looking at it and you can just study it more way easier than looking through Pixiv and shuffling through so many different art styles, when you could just look at the same thing over and over again and understand how it actually works. So for a period of time, that's what I was using for like a reference to like help me understand how to draw and how to shade better, how to line art better. Like, I was just literally looking at AI art for such a long time, and as much as I hated it, like I really despise it, still do, I still like have to hand some credit to the AI, because it actually did improve how I was drawing. Like, I would draw I would practice drawing skin and shading skin, and I was surprised at myself as how like good I could do it. But that was because I could see how to draw it. I could see so many different images and so many different angles of like how to shade a stomach, or how to shade hair. Like, there's just so much content there that's just so helpful. So if you're like looking to improve your skills really, really quickly, I would advise using the website, which I believe is called I believe it's called what's it called? Pix AI art. So I would recommend using that art AI art website, even though it sucks. It sucks, but it's really helpful in the end, because you can just see how, how to shade things so much like better. Like, just type in like what you want to see, like just type in hair, and it would, you find so many images on like how to do it, and it's so cool like how AI is able to do that. But this was where like a lot of things started to go wrong for me, because like I said, I was studying like a lot of it because I wanted to become better than it. Like I said, I didn't like, if AI could create that, why can't I? So I told myself, I'm going to be better than this AI. Like, I'm going to be able to produce content better than this AI is. I'm going to be able to shade better than what this AI is shading. So for a long time I was just drawing like an AI would draw. Like it's kind of like, to a viewer it would seem insane and unreal to be able to do something like that, but the proof is there. Like you can see in my files, like I actually draw the stuff that I draw, and yeah, it was just like, it was probably confusing for a lot of people that would view my art, because they would look at it and they would think, hold on a second, this looks like AI. This surely has to be AI. Like, there's no way an artist could draw something like this. Like, it's too like it's too that. Like, this looks like an AI. And I would look at those types of comments and I would think to myself, how can't these people notice it? But one thing I didn't realize was that these people aren't artists. Like, they don't know what goes into art. Like, they're just the viewers. And just like I was when I first looked at AI art, I thought it was all like human made. I thought they were all drawn by humans, until my friend told me that they weren't. So I can understand where they all come from, but at the time I was still very, very what's the word, I guess kind of like I couldn't understand why they would say that. So yeah, I really just like kind of brushed it and didn't think about it too much, because to me it seemed like they were just like idiots, but they weren't, because they were right to think that way, because I was literally drawing like an AI. Like not a lot of people are able to realize, and it really sucked for some time, because yeah, a lot of people just didn't believe that I was drawing genuinely. So even in the little Discord community that I was in, like, I would post art and some people would think it was AI art. So I told myself that I would just go in there and just stream my art. Basically, I would just stream it, record time lapses, show myself drawing the art, and I gathered a lot of attention from that. Like, streaming my art in that Discord server really gathered a lot of attention from people. It even prompted one guy to send like a donation to me, apologizing, saying how he was sorry for thinking that my art was AI generated, which I found so funny. But I could appreciate that type of behavior from him. So yeah, for large parts of 2023, that was kind of like the things I was going through. And in the Discord community, there was a art competition. There were a few art competitions that I entered, and last year I entered one of them. I think I got like I didn't get placed. I think I was like 6th or something. And then next year there was another competition, and I think I got 4th in that competition. And then the last competition, which is the first I ever won, is the one I won. and I streamed all of my art for it. I drew for 5 days. I drew submissions for 5 days in a row. I was drawing for like 8 to 12 14 hours every single day. I was streaming all of the art that I was drawing in that server, and a lot of people were like, they were really praising me, like they were praising the work rate, and I was just really glad that people could, see that, it wasn't AI generated art. But funnily enough, after I won the competition, there was a few people that would react to it, a few people that weren't in the streams that I was doing, that would react saying, wow, they really let an AI generated art win a competition. And I went off of that guy. I like fully recorded the whole like layer structure and everything, and I just kind of just put it in his face so he could see that everything I was doing obviously was not AI generated. So that was another thing that happened, and that was kind of like the whole situation for large parts of the year. Like as I was growing larger on Twitter, like I was growing really rapidly. I like August, I think I hit my 1k goal. I had like 2,000 and something followers, and by October I really grew, because this is when a lot of HoloLive events were going on. So I was drawing a lot of like characters every single day, and a lot of people didn't even believe that what I was drawing was actual like art. They still generally thought it was AI generated, which I don't blame them, because from their perspective, who like they don't know how art is actually made. They don't know what like an artist is actually like doing behind the scenes, and to them it would probably just seem like, yeah, it's AI. So I don't blame them, but I was upset at the time. So largely I try and explain myself, but there's some people that just don't want to listen, and I don't blame them. But it was unfortunate, and it really did suck for a long time, because when you spend a long time doing something and a long time trying to improve your craft and improve your skills, and there's just people out there that just don't believe what you're doing, is very unfortunate. So it really sucked. There was even like a time where one of my posts was tagged as AI generated on I think it was Gelboru, even though I created a time lapse from scratch, and I posted it, and I showed all of the layer structures and the layer files. I even put the Clip Studio Paint file for anyone to go see and analyze and whatever, but they still labeled it as AI generated, even though I did all of that, which was kind of insane. But at the same time, I told my friend I wasn't even surprised that they would do something like that, because some people just don't like the idea of being wrong, and it sucks, but that's how the internet is, and you just gotta live with it, because it's not gonna change, and it's gonna be like that for a long time. So that was another thing that happened. So basically there you have it. That's how I started off, and that's how I got to where I am today. I grew my Pixiv from 0 to 15k in a space of 2 years by drawing some very, very interesting things. But it's all for the short term. It's all for the short term. My Twitter is mostly SFW. So that's basically how it is, and I hope you've enjoyed the time lapse. By the way, it took 10 hours, so I would do more time lapses, but that video file itself was I think 10 gigabytes, and my SSD is dying for space right now. So unless I until I get an upgrade, yeah, expect some less time lapses soon. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I am a terrible speaker, I know, but regardless, I hope you found this video somewhat informational. Is that a word? I don't know. Educational, insightful, anything. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Oh, and another thing, I'm thinking of starting off a YouTube series, like a YouTube webcomic series. So yeah, stay tuned for that, because I think you guys are really gonna enjoy it, and yeah, it will be a lot of fun, interacting with you guys, and speaking to all of you in the comments, and just drawing anime girls, because that's what I'm doing and I love doing it. So I'm gonna continue doing it for as long as possible, and with the support of all of you amazing people out there that are following me and watching this video, I want to say thank you so much again. But yeah, I truly do mean it. Thank you so much for everything that you guys have done. If you've made it to this far, just know you're a real one, and you're a real G, and yeah, I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I will see you all in the next one. Okay, testing. I went from using a book. So I wanted to become a digital artist. I didn't know anything. So I wanted to become a digital artist. I didn't know. Now, like a lot of artists, I obviously really love drawing. And ever since I was a kid, it was what I spent most of my time doing every day. I used to draw comics in school notebooks, created paper card games, and participated in all sorts of creative events as I was growing up. However, at the time, I still treated art as a hobby for a number of years in my life, and only a recent. Yo guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Yo guys, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. Yo guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. But yeah, that's basically a roundup of 2023 and how I scaled my pixel by drawing some pretty I wouldn't say it, but yeah, just some pretty questionable things. It's gonna be the first video I'm ever uploading. Yo guys, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. However, at the time, I still treated art as a hobby for a number of years in my life, and only recently, a few years ago, was when I discovered that it was my number one passion above everything else. It got to a point where I knew there was an opportunity waiting for me out there that made me motivated to switch to digital art and build up my skills for the future. So on January 1st, 2022, that's exactly what I did. So I wanted to become a digital artist. I didn't know how anything worked. So I wanted to become a digital artist. Actually, let me just stop. I will see you all in the next one.